Excuse me, in one word, what do you love about Providence Place?
Family.
Friends. Wellness.
Art.
Compassion.
Home. Laughter.
No matter what community means to you, you'll find it at Providence Place in Holyoke.
Hello, I'm Sharon Roulier. Welcome to another Best of Summer edition of Reel to Reel. I hope you're enjoying these warm summer days. Today we continue to bring you some of our favorite programs that aired during this past season. Today we bring you segments that first aired on March 30th, along with a brand new news brief. So stay tuned and enjoy. Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel, the Diocese of Springfield hosts New England's Catholic school superintendents as they gather to share ways to improve Catholic education.
I'm Steve Kiltonick on the UMass campus, where the Newman Center hosted a group of seminarians on a two-day evangelization mission.
And Dan Dumas has the latest news on the Diocese of Springfield. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel on this final weekend of March. Earlier this month, the Newman Catholic Center and its director, Father Gary Daly, welcomed some newcomers to UMass Amherst campus. A group of seminarians from Maryland traveled north to spend several days at the university. Their purpose was to evangelize and proclaim the good news to as many students as possible. Steve Kiltonick spent the day with the energetic seminarians and has this report.
From March 3rd to the 5th, a large contingent of men in black collars could be seen crisscrossing the University of Massachusetts Amherst campus. These 27 seminarians from Mount St. Mary's Seminary in Maryland spent 3 days on an evangelization mission, interacting with UMass students and proclaiming the gospel of Christ. Using the Newman Catholic Center as their home base, they focused their efforts primarily in the school's dining halls and academic buildings. This was the seminarians' first trip to UMass, but these evangelization missions have been going on for the past 9 years at various college campuses. The missions were started in 2010 by seminarian at Mount St. Mary's, Thomas Cavanaugh, seen here in a baseball cap. He felt called to evangelize and teamed up with his professor to organize a new evangelization club. The club and the mission trips became very successful, and the duo ended up writing a book on campus evangelization called How to Win Friends for Christ, One Conversation at a Time. Father Gary Daly said the seminarians' visit to UMass was really by default.
This group of seminarians was supposed to go to another campus, and the campus pulled out. And so Jim, who was coordinating this whole event, got a hold of one of our focus missionaries and put him in touch with me.
Jim is Jim Bors, the seminarian who orchestrated the logistics of the trip with the Newman Center staff and focus missionaries.
He told me about the program, and I said, hey, listen, if it's going to be more boots on the ground to evangelize students here at the University of Massachusetts, then how can I say no to that?
The seminary conducts mission trips twice a year, mainly to non-Catholic colleges. This is their 18th overall trip. They were at the University of Pittsburgh last fall.
Most of them are in the Middle Atlantic region, but we've gone as far south as the University of Florida, and we've gone out to the Midwest. This time up here at Amherst, we're in the farthest northeast that we've gone.
Seminarians are required to make at least one trip during their 6 years in the seminary.
Most of the seminarians that go on a trip get so much out of it, and it's so rewarding that they often come back. Some seminarians are on almost every trip that's available.
On campus, the seminarians are usually paired together or with a member of the Newman Center ministry team or focus missionary.
Our mission is really to fulfill the Great Commission that Jesus gave his disciples, to go and teach the nations everything that he has taught them.
The approach, according to Bors, is low-key but effective.
We politely and cordially ask if we can sit down and chat with them, and so we do. And the impact on the students is amazing.
Bors witnessed a number of conversions over the years.
Even when there's not a conversion per se, many seeds are planted. Many students are very happy and glad to have talked with us.
Mount St. Mary's works with the Focus missionary teams and the Newman campus ministry.
We're transitioning this from an event that is supporting seminarians to, we want this to be an event where this is a Catholic campus ministry event that the seminarians support, so that when we leave, there's a lot of follow-up activity that's already in place.
Before going on any trip, the seminarians attend 4 training sessions. They learn the importance of prayer, how to share the New Testament to proclaim the Word of Christ, the importance of their own personal testimony, and are given suggested approaches to use in the sharing process. After arriving on Sunday night, a campus ministry faith sharing and pizza dinner was held at Newman. The seminarians challenged students to evangelize their classmates, teammates, or dorm mates by signing a 3-in-1 pledge agreement. Each committed to share their faith with at least 3 people during Lent by asking them to Mass or a ministry event. Before heading out for the day, the seminarians attended morning Mass. After breakfast, each spent an hour in prayer during the Holy Hour and Eucharistic adoration. At 9 a.m., the seminarians left to engage students in the dorms, dining halls, lounge areas, and academic buildings. An information table was set up by the Newman Student Association in one of the dining halls. This is the second trip for Jacob Martini.
I've just always enjoyed talking to people. I'd say the first times going out there, I was kind of nervous. The more you go out, the more you just go for it. And especially this trip, I felt like a veteran. I kind of knew my stuff a little bit better.
Martini has a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and was able to easily relate to students.
I was helping someone on their stats homework and their physics homework right in front of me while having this conversation about God.
Jacob engaged with at least 30 people during the 2 days. That morning, he spoke to a fallen-away Catholic.
He promised, actually made the commitment to go to Mass tomorrow for Ash Wednesday like he used to, and to attend more of the Masses here at the Newman Center.
To know he impacted someone's spiritual life was gratifying.
For me, it's very humbling. I'd love to be the one that walks them step by step to Christ. Like, yeah, let's go. Like, let's just keep on going. But I know I like to run, and some people just need to walk.
Esteban Mayar is one of the more experienced seminarians. This is his 7th trip.
The first day of evangelizing was probably the hardest day that I ever had on any of these trips. A lot of people were, I felt very cold, not kind of looking down, not wanting to engage or anything like that. But the second day was a total 180. A lot of really good conversations, and it was just a huge blessing.
Mayar, who was paired with a Focus missionary, employs the Socratic technique, asking students lots of questions to find out how involved they are in their faith. He met an Irish Catholic girl who was no longer practicing. After telling her that Jesus truly loves her, he pulled out a Divine Mercy card.
I asked her to look at the right hand of Jesus held up in blessing. And I said, think about all the times that somebody has raised their hand to hit you, or have been angry with you, or have just, treated you wrongly. I want you to replace that with Jesus' hand blessing you. Giant tears just started welling up in her eyes. It started falling down her face. I think to her, I think she remembered that, wow, Jesus does love me. So it was a beautiful experience.
Sean O'Connor was also on his 2nd trip. 1 hour-long discussion was with a Chinese-American student who never even heard about Christ.
When we walked up to him today, he was actually really happy that people just wanted to talk to him and share good news. Whether or not at the end of that hour they say, I'm a Christian, I believe in Christ, that's not the main issue. The issue is, will they continue to grow in their faith, because everything's a journey.
The culmination of the 2-day evangelization mission was the final evening event called Find What You're Looking For. Students active in campus ministry shared their testimonies of how their lives have been changed by Jesus Christ. The students and a seminarian led 3 breakout sessions focusing on the existence of God, who is Jesus, and why the Catholic Church. Everyone came back to the CAF to attend a festive Mardi Gras party put on by Father Daly, where everyone got a chance to eat some great wings and relax. Father Daly said the fruit of the seminarians' labor was already apparent even before they left.
I've already made an appointment with a student who wants to become Catholic. I already had made an appointment with a student who wants to come to confession, who's been away from the church for a while. And that's all a result of the seminarians' visit here.
The seminarians left the next day tired, but knowing their trip was a success for everyone involved. The Newman Center campus ministry, the Focus missionaries, the students, and the seminarians themselves, who answered the call to evangelize. For Reel to Reel, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
And still to come on Reel to Reel, Dan Dumas has the latest news from the Diocese of Springfield. And New England's Catholic school superintendents meet in Springfield to share ideas on how to improve Catholic education. These stories and more are all still to come on Reel to Reel.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio, and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
Opening 2 19th century tombs in search of the remains of a young Italian woman missing for more than 30 years. The Vatican found no human remains at all. The side-by-side tombs have been marked as the final resting places of 2 European noblewomen. But on July 11, excavators found no bones at all in the tombs. A Vatican City state court ordered the opening of the tombs at the request of the family of Emanuela Orlandi, who disappeared in Rome in 1983 when she was 15. She was a Vatican City resident and daughter of a Vatican employee. For decades, Orlandi's case has been the obsession of conspiracy theorists who linked her disappearance to Freemasons, organized crime, the attempted assassination of St. John Paul II, and other unsubstantiated theories.
I'm Dan Dumas with your summer Reel-to-Reel news briefs. The Diocese of Springfield has announced that retired Superior Court Judge Peter A. Vilas will explore and investigate allegations of misconduct made against the late Bishop Christopher J. Weldon, dating back to the early 1960s. The decision to engage the service of Judge Vilas came after it was determined that the recently promoted Vatican procedures for handling allegations of misconduct against bishops would likely not apply to deceased bishops. According to diocesan spokesperson Mark Dupont, given the recent public disagreement between a victim and the Diocesan Review Board about the description of allegations and findings of the board, Bishop Mitchell Rosansky felt that turning this matter over to an independent and outside party was both warranted and the most prudent course of action. Judge Vilas is expected to begin his investigation almost immediately. No deadline has been set. In other news, immigration is an issue that always grabs the headlines. A fundraiser was held recently to help migrants on their journey to America. On May 4th, a pasta supper was held in the cafeteria of St. Michael's Academy to raise money for the Annunciation House, a Catholic organization in El Paso, Texas, that operates 3 houses of hospitality for migrants and refugees. Over 60 people attended the dinner, which was sponsored by Just Faith Community of Holy Cross Parish, the Holy Cross Maryknoll affiliate, and the Knights of Columbus Holy Cross Council, who provided the meals free of charge. Last summer, Jan Denny and Kevin McCarthy of Just Faith participated in an immersion trip run by Mary Knoll that went to the El Paso, Ciudad Juarez, Mexico border. McCarthy, who's also a Maryknoll missionary, said that the purpose of the trip was to help understand the realities of immigration from both sides of the border.
Annunciation House, as I understand, has been around since the 1970s, founded to help people who are coming across the border as they make their transition to the United States.
They're not trying to get under the wall or over the wall. They're actually going to checkpoints and saying, I would like to seek asylum, which is part of our law.
After the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, takes in and processes the immigrants, they're on their own.
So they don't know where they're going to go, and so Annunciation House would take people in, typically only for a few days. Shower, change clothes, feed, maybe they'll help you get a bus ticket to where you have family in the United States. So they never know how many people they're getting on day to day.
Denny says the number of people seeking asylum is upwards of 2,500 families a week in recent months. Money raised goes towards legal fees and clothing like children's underwear and t-shirts.
The bishops from 3 different dioceses were there when we were there to really call attention to, as Catholics, that we need to stand together in solidarity with the stranger among us.
We see the struggles in the world, and we see folks that are, requesting asylum and trying to do things the right way, and we have to work together to try to bridge that gap and allow them to come here under the right conditions.
After the supper, McCarthy showed a slideshow presentation of the trip. A raffle was also held. The supper raised over $1,000 with an additional $500 donated by the Knights. Tears of mourning for a local American hero were turned to a moment of joy for a local Catholic school. Nick Morganelli has the story.
When Tommy died, the tragic incident, the nation responded with a huge outpouring of support. They were sending letters, and a lot of them had money in them.
Gunnery Sergeant Thomas J. Sullivan lost his life heroically defending our country while coming to the aid of others during an ISIS attack on a Naval Reserve Center in Chattanooga, Tennessee in July of 2015. He served in the United States Marine Corps and was an Iraq combat veteran, receiving 3 Purple Hearts, including 1 posthumous medal for the attack that took his life. Springfield Pope Francis Preparatory School accepted a check for $50,000, which opened a scholarship fund in Sergeant Sullivan's name, who was a 1994 graduate of Cathedral High.
There was nothing greater for him than his education and his schooling. Even in the Marines, he went on to get his master's degree, but every time he came home in the 18 years that he served, he'd visit the schools. So we wanted to do something with the money that was meaningful, that meant something to Tommy. Through family discussions, we came at, that was a fitting way to use this money to give it back, as a scholarship for a student that kind of embodied what we believe his sacrifice embodied, which is, community service and high moral standards.
Members of the Sullivan family presented the donation in his honor and memory to Pope Francis Preparatory School earlier this month. Daniel Fenton, Director of Development, explained how the donation helps.
So it's for 1 student, and as long as they maintain a GPA that the family is willing to support, that student will be awarded that scholarship for 4 straight years. So the $50,000 goes into our endowment pool, which is an investment pool for us. So each year the interest made off the $50,000 will be used to support the student from East Forest Park neighborhood.
Contributions to the fund can be made anytime in Sergeant Sullivan's memory by specifying the fund on the check. In Springfield, I'm Nick Morganelli.
Family, friends, and individuals who have endured the devastation of any form of cancer prayed for healing at the 5th annual Berkshire Celebration of Hope Mass at St. Joseph Church in Pittsfield in late spring. David Martin attended this event on Divine Mercy Sunday and tells us more.
People of different faiths and community members whose lives have been affected by cancer worshiped together during the celebration of Hope Mass. The Mass was celebrated by Springfield Bishop Emeritus Timothy A. McDonald, a 2-time cancer survivor.
If any of you are living with cancer right now, God's grace is with you. If any of you are survivors, God's grace is with you. If any of you are relatives or friends of those who have succumbed to this disease, God's grace is with you. But not simply for yourself, rather so you might be helpful to others, that you might help them bear the burden. Because it is together that we make a difference.
Bishop McDonald acknowledged and thanked many of the alumni of St. Luke's School of Nursing in Pittsfield, who were present for their annual reunion.
And the nurses like to get together and celebrate a Mass. So when they realized we were having the celebration of hope, I said, I feel it's more than appropriate that nurses be here because, again, they're the caregivers along with the doctors and individual caregivers. So we're very happy to have the St. Luke's School of Nursing celebrate with us as well today.
This is the day the Lord has made.
The prayers for the faithful during the Mass focused on remembering those who are deceased, those who are caregivers, those in remission, and those undergoing treatment for cancer.
So I think it's important to come together to worship God and ask for His mercy upon those who are suffering the ravages of various forms of cancer. We're fortunate to have chemotherapy and radiation, but that takes a real toll on the human body. And I think the opportunity for us to come, worship God, thank Him for the blessings He has sent us, and also to remember those who have passed away.
James Armstrong, chairman of the event, who was 6 years cancer-free from esophageal cancer, said the BMC Cancer Center in Pittsfield is enormous. So it's essential for those living with cancer to have a fellowship and a place to experience healing. In Pittsfield, I'm David Martin.
For Deidre Griffin, the call to her vocation has been a lifetime in the making. Influenced by the nuns who taught her in Catholic schools and at college, the immigration attorney is now the newest member of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Springfield. Entering the chapel at Montmarie in Holyoke to a hymn celebrating community, Deidre Griffin was ready to make her public profession of religious vows to join the Sisters of St. Joseph. On hand to bear witness and join in the celebration were about 200 family and friends.
Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you dwell, I will dwell. Your people shall be my people.
Reading from the book of Ruth was Sister Jane Morrissey, one of the founders of Grey House, where Griffin spent 2 years as director of the food pantry. The Mass, planned with the help of the Sisters of St. Joseph leadership team, included carefully selected readings.
Taken together, the first reading about Ruth and Naomi, and the Gospel about Nicodemus' visit to Jesus, offer us an invitation to trust that God is indeed at work in our efforts to be faithful within the unique circumstances of our lives.
Sister Joan Reisowitz, president of the Sisters of St. Joseph, then asked Griffin if she was willing to strengthen her baptismal and confirmational commitment to God.
Today, make my initial profession of the simple vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience for 13 months, according to the Constitution of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Springfield.
The Sisters of St. Joseph cross placed around her neck is a sign of her commitment, formalizing her entrance to religious life, a decision Griffin's parents say was influenced by her Catholic school education.
When she was in grammar school, Sisters of St. Joseph in Medford, she was always involved with the sisters.
I have been aware of my relationship with God consciously since I was about 4 years old. But it wasn't until I spent a year as a Jesuit volunteer, a couple of years after college, where I had the experience of living simply in community and doing gospel-oriented ministry, that it became clear to me that this is a fabulous way to live. I feel so alive and so animated for the gospel by living this way.
Sister Deidre said she will be spending 6 weeks this summer in Guatemala improving her Spanish. When she returns, she will work with area immigrants. Finally, Sister Chris Clark of the Daughters of the Heart of Mary and Father Warren Savage are leading a pilgrimage to the Holy Land November 17th through the 28th. There are a few seats left on the trip, which is designed to feel like you are living biblical history in Christ's birthplace. You can call Sister Clark at 413-687-1858 for more information or log on to iobserve.org. And remember, with iobserve.org, you can always stay informed on all the latest news in the Catholic Church, locally and beyond. You can read articles written by our Catholic communications staff, as well as view archived episodes of Real to Real. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and those were your Real to Real news briefs.
Well, twice a year, superintendents from across New England meet to share ideas with the goal of improving Catholic education. The most recent meeting was held in Springfield. Nick Morganelli caught up with our new diocesan superintendent, Daniel Belargin, and has the story.
Let's pray together. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy
Springfield is one of 11 diocesan education offices that govern Catholic schools all across the 6 New England states. Their meeting location was held right here in the city of Holmes.
We all have common challenges. And one of the things we talked about yesterday was enrollment, of course. It's always uppermost on our mind. And how we include the increasing Latino population. What are our schools doing to ensure a welcoming community environment? So we all got chatty about that and shared what our schools were doing. And you know, that's so valuable because invariably you hear something that, oh, we haven't tried that yet, but I think we could.
Providence College launched a program in 2001 called PACT, Providence Alliance for Catholic Teachers. Unique in teacher education, it invites recent graduates to contribute 2 years of service as teachers in Catholic schools in New England. They made a presentation to the superintendents on their future plans.
The reason Dr. O'Connor was here today is because his program and Providence College is looking to expand how they can partner with Catholic education throughout New England. We're very concerned about the students in our urban Catholic schools. They come in oftentimes with an educational deficiency, usually in the reading area and language arts. If we can create some programs where we're working together to really help our inner city students bring up their achievement, that's a good thing. I love PACT teachers. I really do. I love their energy. I love their enthusiasm. But most of all, I love the fact that they really understand what's at the heart of Catholic schools, which is community. It really is. Catholic schools are not just factories for education, but they're part of the church, and every Catholic school is a community with Jesus Christ at the center of that community.
The two-day conference dealt with many topics, including financial sustainability and declining enrollment. But the main purpose for the semi-annual meeting is to always learn from one another and improve our Catholic schools. Superintendent Balarjian explains.
So to be with a group of really committed, mission-driven leaders around the table who are asking the same questions, and then all being able to sit in the room and think about the solutions together. How do small schools work? What are we doing to govern those small schools? What does a curriculum look like? How can we develop and design a curriculum that can really maximize what our students are learning? How can we create more rigor by reimagining what our Catholic schools look like in certain areas? To navigate those questions together provides this sense of community. To be Springfield situated in New England, who's all asking the same questions, that's where the best decisions are going to be made. And those decisions will directly impact us in Western Mass because we know what's working.
Another presentation was given by NEAC, the New England Association of Schools and Colleges.
Many of our dioceses, they accredit all of our schools, and there's a couple dioceses where they accredit about half of the schools. NEASC is also a school improvement process. It's not just a once and done kind of thing. You got the seal of approval, you're a great school. It's not like that. So it's a continuous improvement process. It's very important that we work closely with NEASC. You know, we want to work with other professional organizations, again, to ensure that we're staying true to mission and, have the highest quality schools here in New England so we can continue to serve the children, all God's children, with a great Catholic education.
For Real to Real, I'm Nick Morganelli.
The next superintendent's meeting will involve discussions on STEM education and take place in October. Thanks so much for joining us this week. We will be back next week with another Best Of edition. In the meantime, we know the news never takes a break, so for all the latest happenings on the Catholic Church, log on to iobserve.org, the one accurate source for news on the Diocese of Springfield and beyond. That's iobserve.org. And please join me right back here at the same time next week for Real to Real, your window on the world around you. Have a great week.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.